What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So today me and Dad are learning to put metal on this big old building. So come along with me in my journey to build my own barn dominium or big shop with living quarters, whatever. So, not a professional and I am learning in real time. I did build my last shop and did all the metal for it as well, but we're stepping up this time. We're doing a wainscot, whatever it's called. And we're kind of figuring out the trim to that.
Got all the metal for the wainscot in the back of Dad's truck. Now you don't want to pick this stuff up in your Prius because it is deceivingly heavy when it's stacked up like this. So here's all the long pieces on the trailer. Now this stuff right here is called J trim. Looks just like a J. Now this stuff here is called base trim. Now I'm using it in place of rat guard on the bottom of the metal, and also I'll use it between the wainscot and the upper piece of the metal. This metal is 29 gauge and it is called Panel Lock Plus. I think that's kind of a brand name. This metal all came from Central States. And when you're ordering your metal, you just measure out before you order it, and they actually cut everything to length for you. The cost of all the metal that you'll see in this video was $4,300. Now that's enough metal to do 3 sides of the 50 by 80, 16 foot tall main shop, and also the 2 sides of the 30 by 50 lean-to.
So we're using this base trim instead of rat guard because my concrete bowed out in some places. You can see right here the form's bowed out about 3/4 of an inch, so typical rat guard wouldn't work here because of that. So that's why we're using the base trim, which comes out an inch and then goes down. Here's what that base trim looks like. So to make a nice even connection between all the trim pieces, just so it sticks out a little bit. So after we've cut it right there, ignore my nasty cut job, we can then slide these pieces together. Make a nice seal. Okay, this is round 1 of one man versus metal. It's about 15 degrees and windy. And I'm gonna try and throw this stick of metal up there, so let's try it. Look at my fancy new shirt they gave me. Carhartt even. Apparently when you spend thousands of dollars, you get a free shirt. Now if you're a wizard, you could just mark all these and cut them on the ground, you know, figure out the pitch. Now I could probably figure that out, but I think it's just gonna be easier to throw them up there like that and then run along and cut them all. So that's what I'm doing. So I had bought some cheap $1 1/4-inch driver bits and the magnets just kept falling out, so it's probably worth actually spending the extra money for these name brand bits. But this one was $5 a piece. So this is the reason I'm using this base trim, is this is where my concrete form bowed out about an inch, and this trim is gonna just angle right over it. Dad's cold weather trip to the silicone. Keep it viable. Okay, we're on the business side here. This is the side that everyone's gonna see as they come down the lane and to the house. So this side has most of the windows as well. Has 6 windows total. You can see my monster braces made here. They built a house, or they built a big barn across town that blew over in the framing process. So I was pretty paranoid about that. That's why all the extra braces. So let's get these things off here. Working in my PJs right now. The boys are napping, so I got 1 or 2 hours to get some stuff done. Okay, got a mess of lumber I've reclaimed now. Time to start throwing in some windows. Now I think the best way to prep these windows was if I was doing a house wrap, then I can fold my house wrap in certain ways to make that optimal. Since I'm not doing a house wrap, I think my best option is using this real nasty window tape, taping up all my bottom plates, and also before I install the window, siliconing, installing the window, and then taping around the window. There she be. So I think this is definitely the noob approach to doing this, and there's likely way better ways of doing it. But this tape seems like pretty good stuff. Too bad it cost as much as a trip to Disney World. Sorry, boys. I think if there is a leak around the window, it will run down, sit on this seal, which this tape will keep it from rotting out the wood. It will then run down the metal, I believe, and hopefully out of the building. Not quite sure. Far from a scientist. Oh, it's so pretty. This is a 36 by 60. All these 5 lower windows here. So got me a pretty good bead of caulk all the way around the top and sides, leaving the bottom open for possible drainage. Watch me struggle to put this window in now. Had my 2 pencils in here for my 1/4 inch spacing below the window, and that was pretty easy. Not too bad. Got some silicone I need to wipe off there. So we're taping around the sides and the tops. There's the big window up there. We just put it in the finished product like this. So how we've been doing these corner trims around the windows is, you can see how I cut that bottom trim piece there, and this side trim piece will be flush with the top of the window. And here on the bottom, got me some whoopties cut out there. You can see a 45, and in here there is a bend that's like a crimp, and to make a nice connection you gotta kind of pry this open. Then we're gonna silicone all where this trim will ride and throw that on. So you can see that there. We're just gonna tuck those 2 together. Makes for a pretty neat angle. Okay, we got all the wainscot on and got the wainscot trim on. So this upper trim piece we're gonna do as we're putting the upper metal on. So we'll have our work cut out for us on this section right here with the double windows. So got the wide window up there and the smaller window down here. So for a couple of rookies, this is tough to figure out. So I did my best on the corner trim here. Now I believe we'll have a trim piece that actually covers this corner up anyways, but I did try and make it neat, but it turned out kind of meh. So this side here where the screened-in porch will be, we're actually going to frame up 2-3 feet or something like that and do a wainscot continued around. So haven't framed that up yet because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but we'll probably keep even with this window ledge here, that window lower header. So that ought to look neat. Keep the dogs off the porch. So a professional would have planned this out beforehand, but we gotta cut a really long piece to go over that window up and only have 6 inches of steel and then up the rest of the way. So I got the piece cut already. So that's the only thing connecting the two, and getting this up there without bending it is gonna be pretty difficult. So on the rib, we're gonna screw this 8-foot 2x4 to keep the metal from folding over, hopefully, and try and throw it up there. Well, me and Dad are pretty tuckered out from wrestling those big pieces into place, but you can see we had to do some pretty major cuts on pieces to slid them in there, but we got it done. So the rest of these will probably go a lot easier, being that this was the worst part.
So wrestling these big pieces of metal in place really wears you out. Getting these pieces of metal up there that have cuts out of them for windows can be pretty difficult because once you cut that metal, it's very flimsy and easy to damage. So Dad came up with this really awesome pulley setup. So we got a pulley mounted on the bucket truck and a rope and a couple of vice grips at the top piece of the metal. This made the job so easy. We wish we would have figured this out sooner.
So here's how we did the top part for the windows. You can see that trim piece slides over, so any of the water comes down and then rolls off the side and down the siding. 1 million screws later, we got all the pieces on. Dad's trick for putting the metal on worked flawlessly. So this transition piece here, this will all be gray metal that fills in for the porch. So we're just going to use scrap pieces for that. But that's all for this video. So stay tuned. Next video will be the roof.
Keep thinking.